Quanah Parker Brightman, followed by Mike Graham.
Apete Washoe. Good morning, my relatives. My name is Quanah Parker Brightman. I'm Executive Director of United Native Americans. Just to give a brief synopsis of who we are as UNA, we were founded in 1968 in the Greater Bay Area, San Francisco. We were involved in the takeover of Alcatraz, Wounded Knee, a couple long walks across country. Led a group one time that took over Mount Rushmore, reclaimed it for my nation, the Lakota Nation. My father is, of course, the great Dr. Lehman Brightman, Chief Lehman Brightman. He founded the first Native American Studies program in the United States at UC Berkeley. They've now spread all over. We have more doctors, lawyers, engineers because of that program, teaching through education, empowering our youth, and arming them with the peaceful tool of education to create change in our society. Now, I came here today to bring voice to the voiceless, which is, of course, our indigenous population, our indigenous community, about what has happened this past Monday on what is recognized nationally as Columbus Day. Now, just a little bit of the history. Columbus is a slave trader. He was a rapist. He was a killer. He was a pedophile. I don't understand why the federal government and local city officials still honor this man. It makes no sense. It's like honoring Adolf Hitler for us as indigenous community. It's very hurtful, very painful for us to see this person being honored in this way. Came up here, they were having this rally up here, a very peaceful rally to educate community about our issues, and hoping that you, as a city, would take action to actually changing that day. In the city of Richmond, where I come from, back 5 years ago, we actually changed Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. It's in the city ordinance now, as a number of cities across North America have changed that. That's something that we should do, and that's something that I'm imploring and asking of you to take action as the leadership here in Reno, to please take action on this particular hate crime that occurred on Monday. This man who did that, I don't know if you've seen the videos, but it's ridiculous. He intentionally did that. He stalked those people. He stalked us. And then he proceeded to run over innocent people, endangering innocent lives. They didn't even detain the man for not even 72 hours and let him go. And he's on the streets now. I ask that you put some pressure on this police force that you govern and ask this police chief to do his job and arrest that man and charge him with the hate crime for what he did to innocent people. Innocent lives are at stake. We implore you to please take action on behalf of our indigenous community. Please protect us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mike Graham, followed by Ron Valdez.
Thank you for allowing me to be here today to speak for you. Quanah Parker has said exactly what I stand with here today, 100% in support of what he just said. I would add only this, that the Reno Police Department had an opportunity that evening to apprehend that individual and hold him, as Quanah Parker said, to even test him for alcohol and drugs. At that much, they should have at least done that. And we've all seen the security tapes as far as that goes. There is also street security that the city has up that could enlighten a lot more on this issue that should be brought to the police department's attention to gather that information before it is lost. I'm founder of United Native America based in Oklahoma. I've been at this since 1993, and we've gone before the Cherokee Nation. They have passed a resolution calling on the federal government to bring it in to our tax dollars, paying for Columbus Day to have a national holiday. The state of South Dakota has dropped Columbus Day and called it American Indian Day. That's a state law now. There are over half the states in this of the 50 states we have, or about half of them have dropped Columbus Day. And numerous cities across the country have dropped Columbus Day. And they went with the name Indigenous People Day, as opposed to American Indian Day. Where we stand on this is that the city government of Reno here in this council, I would like for you folks to bring about a resolution to make the second Monday of October American Indian Day or Indigenous Day, whatever the Indian community here wants to go by, as long as it's called under a different name and celebrated within the city here. That's where we're at on this. And for the state to bring it about too. If you would, Ms. She'd be bringing that to the governor's attention. I'm going to be speaking to him later this week, next week, about this issue. And I've been arrested 2 times in Denver over the past decade, protesting Columbus Day there. And they've arrested hundreds of us, blocking a parade there. No incidences of anyone getting hurt. And as of this past week, the city council voted to drop Columbus Day and recognize Indigenous People Day there. There's where Columbus Day began in America, is Denver City, Colorado. It is now over there. It is time for America to recognize the contributions to the American Indians and the plight they went through in the forming of America, which is nothing short of a holocaust under the laws of this country, which I term as manifest destiny holocaust toward the American Indian community. That is a historical fact no one can change. If we're going to call holocaust by what it's called for, this federal government committed it unnecessarily toward the American Indian community. Before, during, and after the U.S. Civil War, this government, federal government, was at war with the American Indian community. During the Civil War, U.S. President Lincoln, with the state of Minnesota governor, executed 38 American Indian men because the Indian Agency representatives were not giving them the food under the treaty laws they were deserving. They went off their reservation land and got food. They were called thieves. 300 American Indian men were set to be hanged that day. President Lincoln weighed in and said, I can't go for this. The European leaders will come in on us. They'll come in on the south side for executing that many people at one time. So they put the remainder of people in prison for life. That part of our history is not talked about. Racism in this country has never been a black and white issue, people. In 1675, Boston, Massachusetts, they brought about the American Indian Imprisonment Act, that an American Indian caught within any city limit after dark would be hanged or in prison for life. Now, that law was still on the book up until 2004. Myself and Indian groups in Massachusetts got with the mayor there, and he agreed to appeal the law from their books. They did. It had to go to the state legislature to make it official. They did. That was in 2004. This law was still on the book that if I was in that city limit as a citizen, which I am of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, I could actually be hung legally. That's where we're at in race relations today. And it's time the government, federal, state, and local governments acknowledge it. I have the utmost respect for police. I'm a Vietnam era draft veteran, Army, 100% service connected. I support our police out here against the drug and street thugs. And I admit, not all policemen are perfect. We're not all perfect. There are problems. But I am outraged at our media pinpicking issues around the country driving people to the streets to commit more heinous crimes against innocent people, and our media needs to be called out for it. Hallelujah. There's some other things I could go in here today, but I know it's getting close to lunchtime, and I ate before we came here, but I'm thinking you guys got McDonald's on your mind or something, but that's where I'm at, and like I say, I would appreciate it if you would. If you need it in writing, I'll have it here by this afternoon. A resolution calling for the second Monday of October, American Indian Day, Indigenous People Day. Forget Columbus. He's Hitler to us. That's where it stands. I'm part Italian and Irish, but I am a registered citizen of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma. My grandparents went through the Trail of Tears, and by roll number, I carry that proudly because of President Jackson's Trail of Tears force march on our people. The United States, 9/11, almost 3,000 people killed. President Jackson killed almost 20,000 American Indian men, women, and children in one issue. He went against the U.S. Supreme Court, who ordered him not to carry that order out. He said, you enforce it. He ordered the U.S. Army to force the Trail of Tears upon the Cherokee nations and other nations up and down the East Coast. Now it's time to recognize how this country came about. Our form of government did not come from Europe, Africa, or Asia. Freedom of speech, separation of powers, and religion came from American Indian Nation tribal governments. So stated by the U.S. Senate in its resolution each month that proclaims November American Indian Heritage Month. That's acknowledged by the U.S. Senate. They sent it to me. We asked them to acknowledge where they got all this stuff from. Now then, our contributions to this government, to this day, we do not have a national holiday recognizing our history, our heritage, and what we went through in the formation of this government. That's a national disgrace, as I call it. It's time for America to wake up and start acknowledging how it came about. Nobody's wanting to play custard no more out here, okay? Acknowledge us, we'll acknowledge you. That's where it's at. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. And then, Rick, will you make sure that you get both of these gentlemen's contact information? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, our next public comment is from Rand Valdez, followed by Janice Gardeep.
I'm an artist. I'm a visual person. Thank you.
Go right ahead. I just want to remind everyone there's 3 minutes, and then I will give you an additional 30 seconds so everyone gets a chance to speak today.
Thank you, Council, Mayor. Seen you before. Familiar faces, maybe some new faces. My name is Ray Valdez, Bakasegwa, Yaqui Yome. Enrolled out of Lubbock, Texas. Tribal member, Texas Band of Yaqui Indians. We have approximately 500 tribal members that can prove our heritage. And was born in Kingsville, Texas, come from Sonora. We're the only tribe out of Mexico that is recognized in North America. Though there are many other natives that come from Mexico, some here today. Maybe some of you are Native American. Maybe some of you have relatives that are Native American. You look like it. Some of you may have relatives that told you you had Native blood. This is a hard time right now, to say that much. It's hard. It's hard for me to talk to you. Say to create a conflict tomachia, bendiciones tiaya. Todo gente tiaya. Many wachoni. honor my brother here, my Lakota brother, and his language. Water is sacred. We all need it. All of us here today. It's our most powerful medicine. My language would say va'am. I've been honored over the last 20 years to teach this community in the Washoe School District. May have taught some of your kids, I don't know. Kids come up to me and say, you taught my kids. I'm like, dang, I need to retire. I'm tired. My daughters, Watahito, Tsiaya, Willow and Sage, they've been in here. We spoke on behalf of Riverside. I live there. And not to get distracted, but it gives me a good feeling to see Hank. Pray that way. Say Leonok. I'm sad. I'm sad for our community, for our people. Where are we headed? What have we learned in the last 500 years? I don't know. I want my children to be proud of their heritage. I want to be proud they live and born in Reno. Proud they're Indian. Proud they're Caucasian. They're breeds. So how do they become proud? They become proud by us, our leaders, to let them stand tall, to be able to say who they are, which we've been oppressed for so long. Many of our relatives cannot. It's hard for us as Native people to come forward because we told so long, many generations have said, no, you can't. You cannot. You will not. You will keep your mouth shut. You won't speak your language. You won't pray in your old way. You will not. So here we come, and we say we're going to heal. And that's what Monday was, healing. It wasn't, look at me. Okay, the name, it's the name Columbus Day. It was an opportunity for us to create awareness, but we were there to pray. We came in a prayerful way, Leonoxiaya, to pray. We prayed, we sang. Full bloods, no bloods, quarter bloods, children, babies, infants, to pray. And we prayed. And we prayed hard for all people. And it was time to stop. It was time to move forward. That event was, and I've reached out to the Reno Police Department, and I'm disappointed that they haven't come to me. So I'm going to ask this council right now, and you, Mayor, tell them to get a hold of me. I give them all they want. I was there from start to finish. And I take responsibility. I stand before this community, and I say, I was leading those people in prayer with my drum in song. Thank those here that were there, Native and non-Native, that are here today to create awareness. So that part disappoints me, but we prayed, and we prayed hard, and it was good, and we prayed for healing. That's what we pray about, to heal. And we felt it. It was good. It was good. And we saw those two boys standing over there. And who are we to tell them they can't be here or not? You want to step in, let's go. They never did. They sat there and checked us out. And we saw them. As you know, that event was an American Indian Movement-sponsored event. Our president, Raquel Arthur, couldn't be here today, but we come in a peaceful way. We come in a prayerful way. There's history, however you want to look at it, positive and negative and everything. But we gather today to protect Turtle Island, our Va'am, our water, and to create awareness. And we open to all people. Run the ceremony on the colony here. Every week, Friday, all people come, all kinds of people. So I'll finish, and I thank you for the time, for listening to me.
Thank you very, very much.
Those boys, and let me just say, Mayor, it didn't matter where we went. They stalked us. We saw them. Those of us that are protectors, we saw them. But they stalked us out. It didn't matter where we went. We could have gone to the federal building. We could have gone over to the park. They were looking for an opportunity to create harm. So at this time, I ask this, and I'll stop here. I'm going to ask all of you right now, and I thank you for starting in a prayerful way, because that's how we do it. Everything starts with a prayer. We were in ceremony last night praying. Our leaders, people that were hit, children, my children, we prayed for peace. We prayed for direction. We don't want anger and hate. I don't teach my kids hate. Those boys were taught hate. They hate. The sad part is they hate us and they don't even know why they hate us. That's the sad part. That's the hate crime. It's hard for me. I'm in school right now at Innovations. Children of all ethnicities coming up. Sad. They're hit by it too. So, just get it right. We need to pray for the family. We need to pray for Kitty Colbert. She has a broken pelvis, a broken hip. We don't know how serious it could be permanent. We don't know in terms of paralysis or not. And her children that were there. Pray for her children that were there, her grandchildren. They were there. Silas Little Wolf and Kiana Gallagher, they were there. Witnessing their grandmother run over like a bag of beans. Like nothing. Just ran over them. So do the right thing. We're going to take our time. We don't need to rush here. But do the right thing. And our Indian community is going to be patient. We're going to be patient. And we're going to give you the opportunity to give us a good feeling that we can trust the law enforcement, and that we can trust this council, that y'all do the right thing. And the chief needs to get a hold of me. So I thank you for your time. Chokyo Tessa Tiaya, Wapak Siai, Tola Gente, blessings to all your family and loved ones. And I thank you.
Thank you, Ray. And I want to make sure that, Rick, will you make sure that you get Ray's contact information for me? Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, our next public comment is from Janice Gardeep, followed by Jennifer Mannix.
All right, thank you. I do want to remind everyone, because I want to make sure everyone gets their comments in. Okay, so 3 minutes, and then you get 30 seconds. Go right ahead.
Good morning. Pisha Uwamama, Reno City Council members. Me Nania Janice Gardeep. My name is Janice Gardeep. I'm native from the Northern Paiute and Western Shoshone Nations, and a tribal member of the RSIC, the Reno Sparks Indian Colony. I know I've met a few of you. Arlen asked me to do opening prayers and songs for different events, and I've seen some of you there. And I'm just here to speak out against what happened and why the police department didn't arrest the driver who drove over into the people at the 2016 anti-Columbus Day March in Reno held on October 10th. Why wasn't he arrested? I was there I feel this was a hate crime against our Native Indigenous people. I was there in solidarity to show my support. I took my niece and my little nephew, my little niece, two of them, my niece and her daughter. She's 9 years old. She was horrified to see that, to witness those people getting run over. It really affected her. And the next day I told her that the lady would be okay, she's all right. And she heard it on the news, so she felt better. She felt, that she wasn't going to die. But the intent of that boy was to do harm to us. He stalked us. His intent was to hurt someone. And I stand in solidarity to have justice done and to have this person arrested for that hate crime. I would also like to have Columbus Day abolished and changed to Indigenous Peoples Day in Reno. Our people have gone through years of oppression, but we are resilient people and prayerful people and compassionate people. We walk in the footsteps of our ancestors. We have gone through so much, the struggles. We're very peaceful and loving and prayerful. And the prayers that we carried that day or that evening during the event, the rally, everyone felt good. And it was a good thing, but to have that happen, that's senseless. And what's so discouraging is to hear that boy wasn't even arrested at all. So I thank you for listening. I just ask peace, love, and respect for you all. A hope to all my relations. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, our next public comment is from Bishop Luther Dupree, followed by Reverend Augustin Jorquez.
Good morning. And this morning I want to acknowledge you. Thank you, Mayor Shivi, and the council, and certainly to my representative Delgado, and certainly to all of you that are here today, and our fellow citizen, to the Chief of Police, Soto. I just thank you for the opportunity to share and to speak. I certainly want to convey my thoughts and agreement and support to the Native American nation for being here to voice their opinion on what's going on, certainly in our community. And on last evening, we came together and shared, and I thought we had a pretty peaceful march on last night. But my concern was when Native Americans or any other culture comes together to express their First Amendment right and not protected by the law, which has been hired to protect and serve, then it provoked protests and marches like we did on last evening. This individual that drove his vehicle to this rally then used it as a weapon to run down innocent people, and no arrest was made after having description of the vehicle and many eyewitnesses. That's injustice. Not only that injustice, but we had probable cause to make an arrest because of the magnitude of the witnesses on hand. If it was any other culture, I believe that an immediate arrest would have been made, and that individual would have been held for arraignment and without a warrant being issued, predicated on the voices that I witnessed the occurrence that took place. based on eyewitnesses alone. They usually hold us 72 hours to gather other evidence. Yet in this case, no arrest is or has been made. Last night on our march to the city, I believe it was peaceful, and law enforcement played a great part in protecting us as we marched to City Hall. I want to personally thank them and the chief and those that served on last night for their protection and being there for us. We were not there to castigate or demoralize law enforcement. In fact, I have 5 known members of my family serving in another state that wear badges. So I'm not here to put down law enforcement. I support law enforcement quite heartily. But when these kinds of things take place, and it seems that though the same law does not apply for these young men that is applied to other cultures, then we feel that something needs to be done. Again, to the mayor, thanks for this opportunity, to all of you, but yet we feel that there need to be an arrest in this case and somebody brought to justice immediately. Thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you, Bishop. Always an honor to have you with us.
Reverend
You're
Augustine
famous.
Marquez, followed by Tara Tran.
For the record, I'm Reverend Augustine Jorquez. I'm a pastor and chaplain in various degrees here in the state and also first responder. And I'd like to recognize Bishop Dupree and Miss Janice Gardapi and our renowned artists for they are esteemed members in this community, both tribally and non-tribally. And I send greetings to you, Mayor Hillary Shervy and Mayor Vice Mayor Oscar Delgado and Assistant City Manager Bill Thomas. And excuse me, I'm trying to contain my emotion at this point. I send my greetings to the City Council, those present and those who are listening live stream. I obviously come with a heavy heart and a deep concern and prayerful words concerning this incident of this white truck and 2 perpetrators who had purposely and with malicious intent inserted their vehicle within a peaceful protest. My concern, and the reason I'm here, isn't so much for concerning racial disparity as much as my concern is always for the safety and well-being of the citizens, of the guests, of the tourists, of the visitors who come to Reno. In fact, I had to apologize to our guest from Haiti that she had to come and witness such an embarrassing display. There's not much more I can say that hasn't already been said. It is shameful that this perpetrator, from what I understand, was not charged, was not booked. And I wonder if the vehicle was impounded, if the perpetrator and the accomplice, had they not been put in custody, had they been monitored, are they a flight risk? I understand regret and remorse have been expressed. However, is that because of the cowardice actions or because this person knew that they would be caught and apprehended? I am just outraged for the utter disregard for life and the reckless endangerment of citizens So I am asking for reasonable actions to be taken. And in the last 18 seconds, I just want to say a deep prayer that the Creator of all creation give us wisdom, give us understanding, give us love, give us direction. I pray for our police. I pray for our city council. I pray for our tribal councils and tribal members. We need justice. This says, where there is no justice, there is no peace. And all of our community wants a peaceful community. Also, excuse me while I take this exemption. As you know, there have been other situations where vehicles mowed into rallies here in Reno, and lethal action was taken. Please understand this. Had there been an undercover agent or a law enforcement officer or even someone with concealed weapons that would have taken lethal action against that perpetrator, I just, once again, I am grateful that there were no fatalities in this very serious altercation, and I pray for justice. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, our next public comment is from Tara Tran, followed by Sam Dene.
Hi, I'm Tara Tran. I was there on Monday. I was in front of the car. I was hit by the car. I fell maybe 2 feet from Kitty. It was a stroke of luck that I was not injured. And I just want to clarify, I've heard people in this room talking about the protesters deserved it, the drivers feared for their life. They were there in the very beginning, before we even moved. They saw us, they saw our intentions, they saw the prayers, they saw speaks of love and unity. And after we moved, they drove past us and yelled things that would not be appropriate for this setting, I'm sure. They were racist. After we moved into the street, and I've heard a lot of people say the protesters were blocking traffic. They shouldn't have been blocking traffic. If you watch any of the videos, from the moment that we went underneath the arch to the moment that the incident occurred, it had not been 3 minutes. We were not blocking their directions. They were following me. They were following us. They were aggressors. And when I hear people say that it was self-defense, it's so ridiculous. Their windows were down. They were not scared. I was in front of the car. I looked into their eyes. It was not a look of fear. They were having fun. And the idea that they were not apprehended, that they were not convicted, is absolutely deplorable. And I don't believe that anybody is born with hate in their hearts. I believe that hate is taught, and I believe that it is taught to them by a system that celebrates someone who brought child slavery, child sex trafficking, genocide to this country. Every year that Columbus Day is celebrated, that system is perpetuating the idea that that was okay, that Columbus coming to this country, that the genocide, the near extinction of an entire people was something to be celebrated. And that's not true. It's a system that teaches that massacres on Native people were battles. It's a system that puts the lives of millions of innocent Native Americans as a side note on a textbook and still has a heavy bias against it. And I think that those aggressors were taught by this system that that's okay. And I think that if no action is taken upon them, everyone from the UK that is watching us now to everyone else in this country, those people with hate in their hearts that were taught by the same system, their ideas that this is okay, it will be reinforced. I think that it's important that a holiday may not seem like much, but I think that that is where these aggressors come from. If there is no justice taken, if these actions continue, there will be unrest. And I want peace. But if nothing happens, that just won't fly. Thank you.
All right, go right ahead, sir.
Right. I prepared something before, but I think I'm just going to paraphrase what I wrote. My name is Orlando. You may have recognized me. I paint at the park sometimes, and sometimes I paint kids' faces and stuff at local events. I do a lot of volunteering. I'm a father, a poet. I was actually at the event a couple nights ago because I'm Chicano. And as a Chicano, my mother is from Texas. My dad's from Mexico. And we were there because of Columbus Day. Because of Columbus Day, I don't have my native culture. A lot of it has been lost. But when I go to events like this and I hear the music and the drumming and the singing, I can feel that connection that can never be taken away from me, even though it was taken away from me. I don't know my native language. I wanted to take my son to the event, and I'm happy I didn't. He had an event at Roller Kingdom with his school, a fundraiser. So he got to go. He's like growing older. He's a middle schooler, so he likes his time now too. And I'm very fortunate for that because of the way things turned out. 2 nights ago, we were assembling peacefully to celebrate our heritage and bring our community together. We prayed, we sang songs, we made connections with each other. We wanted to take a photo under the arch to save the beautiful moment. We were harassed on our way. When we stood to take photos, we were assaulted by 2 men who followed us and watched us. This was a vicious attack with a deadly weapon on peaceful protesters, men, women, and children, premeditated, attempted murder. I'm grateful that nobody died. We're here to demand justice. We demand an arrest. We're part of this community. We're gathered to say we're tired of being dehumanized in the history and nowadays also. We want you guys to take this opportunity to show us that we are valued in this community because we are part of the community. We're human beings. We can't change the past, but we can change the future. We want justice. Give us justice. Me and my girlfriend that went to the event together, we were scared to leave our house yesterday. We were scared to go out into our community because this person got set free and we don't feel valued. And this sets precedent for other people that have hate in their hearts to act in the same way. And so please give us justice, make us feel safe, and make us feel part of the community because we are part of the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, our next public comment is from Jeff Church, followed by Patricia Gallimore. I think Jeff Church is not in chambers at this time, so we'll go to Patricia Gallimore, followed by Claude Conkrite.
Yes. Good, is it still morning? No. Good afternoon, council and everyone. I'm Don Gallimore, substituting for my wife, Patricia Gallimore, if you noticed. She had something that she had written down. It's not necessarily something that I would say. Of course, I respect the council and the civil rights engagement that our police department has given us. But in terms of going backwards, we're going backwards. Minority communities have been going forward slowly, patiently, prayerfully, and this death and destruction is starting to heighten. And I'm concerned. My kids, my grandkids, and that's unusual because I don't usually worry about them. You know, my kids, our wonderful kids, my grandkids, are going to be brought up in a loving family. But right now, it's kind of like going against our fathers. The Indian population here, the indigenous population, has been here forever. And for Aryan Nation backers, supporters, that's something that we have to confront. We have to feel, we have to see just how far they go so that we can react. We don't have an opportunity to do our own thing, to create. When I say we, I'm talking about a lot of minorities here, because the Indians, they brought peace, they brought food to Christopher Columbus, and you know he gave them disease and pestilence and death. And I know that during our slave trades, if it weren't for the Indian community, a lot of the African Americans, blacks at that time, slaves, other names, would not have survived. Virtually every one of the people in this room who have had families before 1930, 1920, who aren't immigrants, they've got Indian blood. So when we have people driving over people without any charges, without their car being impounded, that's pretty incredible to me. It's emotional to me, and I don't get emotional too often. What we do want to do as the NAACP is, as always, we want to reach out to the Indian community, and I understand the Wadsworth Pyramid tribe is having major problems with potential genocide, and so we need to take a look at this whole picture and make sure that we have the desire to help not only them, the Indian nation, but everyone who is not represented. That's pretty much all I can say right now.
Bob Fulkerson, followed by James Bukowski.
Hi, Bob Fulkerson, Plan. Today, the ACLU released a study showing that what most of us already know, and that's the racial bias in criminal justice and policing. And it showed that despite equal drug use by both white people and black people, that black people are incarcerated and arrested 2.5 times more. And every time I've come before this council on issues of racial bias, there is a litany of what we hear. It's people of color and indigenous people coming before the city council with a litany of racial bias examples. Some anecdotal, but it happened to them, and it's real life, and this happens again and again and again. Just last year, you know, and there's good reason why people do think that there's racial bias, either in the city attorney's office, in the city of Reno, or in the police department, and it's because we as white people have unconscious bias. We can't help it. It's the toxic soup that we were raised in. And there's also institutionalized racism that pervades every aspect of our culture and our society. And there's examples of that too. Now, the tragedy, though, is that sometimes things happen and there might not be racial bias or racism involved, but the perception is there sure as hell is. Last year, you know, a man plowed into a house and a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old were killed. And the guy, nothing happened to him. You know, the guy was white, the family was Latino. And so we're left to ask, if the tables were turned, would that have been different? And then we come to the atrocity under the arch where, you know, 2 white people ran over indigenous people. They weren't arrested, let alone drug tested. I can guarantee you, if it had been a black person or a brown person or an indigenous person that went through the Italian festival, or went through a Chamber of Commerce gathering or other all-white gatherings, I don't think that outcome would have been the same. I want to thank the mayor for your statement yesterday. We all need to speak out more about this. We've got to nip this in. We can't nip it in the bud yet because it's a full flowering tree. We've got to get to the roots of this. And, speaking out is the first thing, and then action, and we will be here again and again until we have justice. And my heart goes out to everybody who's spoken so far, and and I know you're trying, and we will be here holding your feet to the fire. Thank you very much.
No Adam Harry no kuiwi pa punanarawe, no kuiwi te. Hello, Council, Mayor Shivi. I thank you for allowing me to speak today. I am going to speak on the events that happened on Monday night. Just to give you a brief introduction, I am a member of the Pyramid Lake Paiute tribe, and I've grown up on the reservation my entire life, but I do consider myself a community member of, here in Reno. And I consider myself a part of this community. I attend UNR. I'm a student at UNR. And I have never felt so unsafe in this community of Reno until now. The hatred that we witnessed and the violence that we witnessed on Monday night, we'll never forget that. And I just ask that the Reno Police Department, that they begin moving forward and begin to look beyond race and beyond skin color and treat us like human beings, because we are human beings. And human beings were in the front of this truck when this driver, when they decided to plow through this crowd. Those were human beings that were hurt and that were injured. And those drivers, those two men in the vehicles fled this scene, and it needs to be treated. We need to be treated as human beings. But there were women, there were children, there were infants, there were elders who were in this crowd. And they have to go through life remembering that experience, and they had to witness that experience. And there's so much trauma and post-traumatic stress that comes from that. And I can tell you that healing will not begin until justice is served. And those families, those young ones, cannot heal until justice is served. So I know as a community, as the Indigenous community of Northern Nevada, we have open hearts and we are peaceful, and we welcomed these men into our circle the other day. They chose not to be within our circle, but they sat with us as we offered songs, as we offered prayers. And, their actions turned to violence. But I know that we as a community, I know Reno can do better. There needs to be justice that comes out of this, and Reno needs to be better. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Buck Sampson.
Monsieur Obama, my name is Buck Sampson. My people were here a long, long time ago. I belong to the Tsigit band of Paiutes that were here. Our people are from this area, way before Nevada became a state, way before the first white man stepped foot in this area. Our people were here already. We lived with these newcomers, the immigrants, when they first came over here. They made these laws. We followed these laws. We helped Reno become what it is now. Our people were here. My grandfather was Dewey Sampson, first Indian voted in the Nevada State Legislature back in 1939. We had the biggest AIM chapter in the whole United States besides Minnesota, where we first started that AIM. Our people were here. We started this chapter right here in Reno, Nevada. So what I'm saying now is, going through the history of all our Native Americans, and what my grandfather stood for, and he ran on a platform of anti-discriminations, on equal platform with other people. No discrimination at all. And now we're still having this. He was discriminated lots. Our whole family was. Our whole tribe was. Our race of our Tusigit band of Paiutes that was here. A lot of them, people say that they're gone and extinct. We're not. We're still here. We're still survivors. I'm a spiritual advisor for the State of Nevada Indian Commission. I'm a spiritual advisor for the Intertribal Council of Nevada. I'm also a spiritual advisor for the Reno Sparks Indian Colony. I do ceremonies also. I've been doing this ever since back in the mid 80s I started. And I've been discriminated against when I started working for the city of Reno. I started back in 1975. I'm retired now. But I live with this. I grew up here in Reno. I went to school. I went to a lot of elementary and junior high right here. I went over Worcester for a while. I got out and I went to Stewart, where I was more comfortable with Native Americans. Over there I got 3 scholarships. And one of them was for Native American Indian College, State of Nevada, the Reno right here. They don't have nothing for our Indian people to study. But I wanted to do that, but we don't have nothing like that. I went somewhere else. But what I'm trying to say is, I've been involved with a lot of these protests before. I've helped conduct ceremonies here. I fought up over here against Hillside. I did ceremonies up there. We did some right across the road here, where the old mapes used to stand. We prayed. We circled up. We've walked. I've got a son that walked across the United States 3 times. Anyway, what I'm trying to get to you guys now is, it's time for us to voice our opinion and stand up. We want help from the city of Reno to help you guys straighten our laws out here. The laws that are discrimination on minorities, especially our first people that were here, our Native American community. We were here. We've always been here. Our voice has just never been listened to. You people have never really taken into consideration how we think or how we feel. Nobody's really come up to us and asked us those questions. You know, this here is all Indian land at one time. We were here. You guys need to start addressing our concerns. Like this Columbus Day. You guys never came and said, hey, why don't we have a Native American Day instead of Columbus Day? Why don't we call it Indigenous Day? Why don't we call it something else? So I'm just speaking on behalf of our people. And I want justice served. You know, a lot of times when we have these little rallies, our little protests, you guys might want to call them, but we call it a rally. We get together and we sing and we pray. We let people express themselves of all colors. We don't discriminate against anybody that want to join our circle. And we let them come and talk. We let them express themselves. We let them feel what's coming from their heart, their mind, their body and spirit. We just give them guidance and direction and understanding. And I'm asking for the police department for their little understanding and some guidance also in bringing these criminals in prison, having the charges pressed against them, assault and battery, premeditated murder. This is what I see. This is what I feel. I don't know how you guys look at things, but it is from our Indian point of view. This was intent. The guy went around the block, came back again, and this time he drove through that crowd. He went through it 2 times. Anyway, I'm just asking for consideration and bringing these people to justice. We don't have justice for our Native Americans. We get people that's been shot and killed over at Walmart down here. Nothing's ever been done. We get our people thrown in jail, drummed up charges. You know, we don't have a real good voice. We don't have no one to turn to or ask for help. I'm asking you guys for counsel to help us understand, to give us a fair treatment like you give everybody else, that you give to your own color, your own race. Give us the same treatment that we want. We want equal rights. We want to be called Native Americans, this is our day. This is our month. This is our year. This is our country. We were here. We were here first, and we're still here. So I'm just asking for these things to help us. Give us a help. Bring these people to justice that deserve to be prosecuted. Their vehicles should have been impounded. They should have been impounded. They should have been drug tested for alcohol. I don't even see nothing that ever happened like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
I want to say that this has been probably one of the most heartfelt council meetings that I've ever been in since I've been mayor. This has been extremely, extremely difficult. And I just want to say that hate is not okay. And the city does not condone hate. And we need to love each other more. I mean, I got on social media the other night. I had no idea I was so fat, ugly, and stupid. And so it's everywhere. And what I would ask for you to do today is truly, when you leave here, love each other more. But one thing I want to say, I'm so grateful that you came to this council today with love and peace in your heart. And it was peace. And that's the message. And it's very, very, very kind. But I also want to encourage you that that's why we have this opportunity to come here and speak and also educate us. That's important as well, and to have your voice heard. So we encourage you to come here and always voice how you feel, what your opinions are, not judge one another by the color of our skin or who we love. So I'm very grateful that you've come and let this know. So again, thank you. Thank you so much. Councilwoman Breckes.
Yeah, along those lines, I do want to thank those who came today to speak to us, particularly the eyewitnesses. I understand and appreciate the trauma that you're going through, and talking to us again is repeating it. But it really brought details to me because it's 36 hours since this incident happened. It's very tragic. My thoughts are with those who are hurting, physically hurting, and the rest. And I had a head cold yesterday, wasn't watching social media or anything, so it helps me fill in some, information and details to me. So thank you, all of you who came and spoke out again. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilwoman Jordan.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I, too, appreciated all of the input here today and the heartfelt comments and the concern about the entire situation. It was disheartening and disgusting what occurred on Monday. As I brought a card to Ray and told him, which he recognized already, that my name is Cherokee Indian and that I grew up on the Paiute Reservation. So I have a background in great love for Native Americans, and I feel for all the pain that our community is suffering right now.
All right. Councilman Delgado.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a long, strong history with the Reno Sparks Indian Colony, and I've had numerous people call me, text me, message me, asking me for my opinion and for my advocacy. And something that we struggle with here at the council is wanting to know as many facts as we can before making decisions, especially the amount of pressure we receive through social media, the amount of having to have a reaction immediately. And sometimes when you tend to react due to emotion, sometimes you end up with a longer struggle to get to the justice that we all want, the equity that we all are looking for. So I've been hesitant, but that does not go without saying how upsetting, how I couldn't sleep at night. The whole evening, the whole night I spent with my family, my kids, thinking about how this was wrong. To know that we have done so much in our community. We are not like other communities. We've done so much in terms of relation development here. And for us to be compared to other cities that are struggling wouldn't be fair to all the strong work that we've done over so many years. So that's one thing I hope the community takes back, is that we don't need to take steps back. We have a strong base here, a strong foundation for us to continue leveraging and talking to, so we make sure that we can make those positive differences. Believe me, no one at this dais will take a simple answer. We have tons and tons of questions to reassure the community that things would be done right, that equity be there, that justice will prevail, knowing that all the facts are laid out there. Believe me that that's the ultimate outcome that we're all looking for, we're hoping to strive and push for. I know for one that protest is a beautiful thing for all of us to do, to voice our opinions. No one should ever feel by any means threatened to go and speak on behalf of what you feel, even though other people may not feel your same perspective. That's the beautiful thing about this country. So to see that was harmed really frustrates me also. I stand on the shoulders of giants. I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for the hard work for a lot of people that went and protested and spoke on behalf of the community groups. Never take that for granted. And to see that was taken away from the Native Americans that evening really troubles me, And I know it impacts not only the Native American community, but it impacts the Latino community, the African American community, and other communities that always have continued to struggle. So believe me, this council is sensitive and thoughtful, and we will make sure that it's thoughtful, process is thoughtful, everything's been checked and double-checked and rechecked, and the proper authorities are on it. And I trust in our chief, Soto, and I trust also that in our community that we will reassure and hopefully come to a resolution quicker than not. So thank you all for coming here. I truly appreciate hearing you guys' voices today. And as somebody who studied Chicano studies and ethnic studies, I totally appreciate your sentiment and belief about Columbus Day, and knowing that those conversations are a struggle and we need to change those as well. So thank you guys again.
Please take that young man off the street. He's dangerous.
Councilman Bobzian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I just wanted to echo and agree with all the sentiments that have been expressed from this dais, but I particularly want to reinforce the statement that you made, Madam Mayor, that this was one of the most meaningful and somber and yet important meetings and exchanges and periods of public comment that I've certainly ever experienced here on the council. And I want to express appreciation for all those that came in the spirit of sharing, in the spirit of reconciliation, resolution, problem solving. These chambers, they belong to the entire community. I think we all know this. I express appreciation to everyone here for the opportunity to be a part of this. And I agree, we have a lot of work to do for the entire community, our community, to feel safe, and we will do that work. So again, appreciation to all that came, and let this be a model for how we come together as a community in this space, in this sacred space, these chambers, that again belong to all of us.